You guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pinkprint podcast. Today we are sitting with Ariel Viner. He teaches at the Spiritually Hungry location here in the Miami Design District, which is an amazing, incredible location, by the way. It's so central. If you're in Miami, stop by. But for a class, and we are going to share the wisdom of Kabbalah and why it makes sense and practical tools and tips that people can implement into their lives so that we can all live happier and more fulfilled.
Gio and Kat, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
We're so excited. Thank you for spending time with us.
Of course.
So I have to ask the most basic question. Why does Kabbalah make sense? Because it just does. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what about Kabbalah is and why is it like a wisdom that just, it just makes sense to us.
Ancient wisdom that gives practical tools and wisdom to navigate the day-to-day challenges that we all go through in life with just more understanding, acceptance, clarity, and then extracting more positivity from all those different challenges that we experience in life.
What are examples of these day-to-day challenges that we face?
So many. Relationships, career-wise, decisions, making choices, what to do, what not to do, inner self-esteem, believing in ourselves, loving ourselves, judging others, judging ourselves, being harsh, critical. So many challenges, stress, social anxiety, how we perceived by other people, what people think about us. Then does it change our authentic self? What comes out of us when we're too overly consumed with what other people think about who we are? Are we becoming the men and women that we're supposed to become, or we're influenced by the external?
I want to talk a little bit about judgment. We're like really diving in today. But I mean, I think it's just so easy, especially for women our age. We were talking about this before, but to go on social media and look at people and either admire them and love them more than you love yourself, or to be so easy to judge them. And it's like, why are we looking at these people and commenting on them, whether it's that we love them or we're judging them or they're annoying or why are they posting that? Because we don't even know them, but it's just so easy to look at them and have like an automatic response. And how can we change that? Like, how can we become better versions of ourselves in order to like empower the rest? And how can we just not have that autopilot response when we're scrolling? Maybe the answer is to scroll less, but
That's for sure.
But if you are going to be scrolling, how can we just avoid that?
Kabbalah teaches that the most important thing is to look in. So we can enjoy looking out and as a form of entertainment. But the true feeling of contentment, of self-love, of looking in the mirror and loving yourself, that's something that is going to come from your choices in life. It's not going to come from what other people give to you, and it's not going to come from looking at other people. So in that sense, judging ourselves or others is almost useless. So because it doesn't give me anything. So Kabbalah is very practical. If it doesn't give me anything, then I'll ask myself, so why do I do that? And the moment I come to the realization, it really doesn't serve me, then I will stop doing that. If it doesn't serve me and it doesn't give me anything good of long-term value, it's just fulfilling me in that moment right now, but it doesn't give me any form of long-term fulfillment, I will just avoid it.
Let's take it a little further. Like, what if you are just spiraling in negative thoughts or anxiety, or you're depressed? Then when you're in that mindset, how do you step out of that to then start thinking positively? Because you're saying, oh, it's easier to think it doesn't serve me, let me not judge. But sometimes it's just like so hard to like switch the flip in your head. So what do you do, or what should we do? What's the first step we should take if we're like sick of just feeling negative or thinking negative thoughts?
First of all, I think step number one is pause. Pause. Ask yourself, is that even true? What I'm thinking about myself right now, or about reality right now? First is that pause and question yourself, question your own thoughts. My teacher used to say, if you're so bad, let's say you're consumed with negative thoughts, and you think you're nobody, you think you're a loser, you think you're zero, you think you're worthless. Now, imagine that. There is a worthless person sitting in the street, is a nobody, is a nothing, would you ask them for an advice? Would you listen to them? Would you learn from them? Yeah? No? What do you think?
If I thought someone was worthless, would I ask them for advice?
Would you ask them for advice? Would you go to them?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
So,
I'm like, I don't know. This is a trick question.
so why do you listen to yourself?
What?
It's a pause.
I'm laughing
Stop listening to yourself. Because if you're so nothing,
Right.
why do you believe that voice?
Then why do you believe this nonsense anyways, then, if you think you're so worthless?
Exactly.
You make it sound so simple. That's why I'm laughing.
It is
simple,
simple, but it's not easy.
No, and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's a muscle. Spirituality becoming strong internally. I think that's what spirituality is all about, is becoming strong internally and knowing who you are, which is a very powerful, we're all very powerful and beautiful and amazing from within. And it's a practice, it's a muscle to know it, to live with that knowing, but without ego.
Talk a little bit about ego. What does that mean? What is the ego? I think some people don't know what the ego is, and so we could talk about it a little bit in Kabbalistic terms.
Let's say comparing myself to other people will be my ego. Judging would be my ego. But if we're just talking, let's say, about comparing, looking at we spoke about looking at social media, and then I'm looking at other people, they're more beautiful than me, they're more successful than me, they're more influential than me, and now I start to feel insecure. Now I'm not good enough. Now I'm not beautiful enough. That voice will be the voice of the ego. The spiritual practice, the muscle will be to pause and to say, wait, is that the real me? Is that who I really am? Am I that loser? And then looking at reality. And if you really look at reality, you will probably find out, if you just pause for 1 second, your soul already wakes up at that moment of pause, and you from within, you'll be able to tell yourself, no, this is the voice of my ego. This is not the real me. And then the moment you become reconnected with yourself, then the soul is all about adding value. The soul is all about thinking about other people. So it's almost instantaneously that I will think, what can I share? Every time I fall into sadness, and I still do sometimes, depression, moment of not believing in myself, things don't go as smoothly as I would like them to go in my life, things don't happen as fast as I would like them to move, I feel stuck, I feel blocked, I don't have answers, I'm confused. The first thing, pause, reconnect with my soul, who I really am, and now how can I add value? How can I share with someone? Even if it's just making a small phone call to a friend, or just texting someone, or just putting myself out there for someone else, get us out of the hold of the ego, because the ego can be very strong sometimes and make us think and believe things that are absolutely not true about ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's really hard to do sometimes in practice, but it's true, because it's so easy. Like when you're in that reactive mode and something really triggers you, you just like want to like say something mean or bad or act in a way, but like when you just take the moment to stop, you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do that. Like that little 1 second, you're like, okay. But then to go further and then to do something to share with somebody else, it really does make you feel better and get out of yourself when you're sharing with others.
You've been on a spiritual path for some time now, right?
Yeah.
How many years?
Since 2018.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So can you think of a time that you were about to listen to your ego and that voice was very loud, but then you're able to pause and reconnect with who you really are?
Yeah.
And what happened? What was the voice of the ego, and what happened after you paused?
I mean, I think it happens a lot. It comes up a lot with relationships. So whether specifically with my mom or now my fiance, where like you're like in the heat of the moment and you really, maybe you want to say something mean and you're like right there on like the tip of the iceberg. And then sometimes in my head, I'm like, oh my God, just like calm down and like take a step back. And then I just feel a sense of calm, and then I don't say something hurtful. And then I just like I just take a step back, and I just feel more at peace. I know it's not really specific, but I think in those moments, like I could have maybe really pushed it, and then I don't, and then I'm just like calm, And then it's just better because then I didn't hurt somebody else. I didn't say something that later I didn't mean, right? And I like put that out there, and then I just like feel more like a sense of calm, and then I'm just like, okay, that's it. Like, let's just get over this.
Whatever that was that bothered you, if you ask yourself, would a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, would I care about it?
Probably not. It's just a meaningless little altercation or fight over probably something stupid.
It usually does.
Right. And it probably...
One of the ways to know it's the ego is that it's stupid. It doesn't add value.
Yeah.
It doesn't make my life better. It doesn't make your life better. And it's a practice to pause and to not be so reactive. Usually we are very reactionary. Somebody said something, we get hurt. And now I'm hurt, now I'm depressed. Now I need to hurt someone else.
Yeah.
We get very reactionary very, very fast. And each one of us, that force within manifests in different ways. For some it will be to gossip about other people. For some it will be to be hurtful. For some it will be to avoid and shut down and not say what we feel and not to express ourselves. The moment I recognize whatever that is now not adding value, I can pause and reconnect with the real me, asking, who's the real me? Just asking, who am I really? And the more I'm asking that question, the soul becomes awakened. It's just pausing and asking the question is a very powerful tool to reawaken. Do I want to be that person that judges harshly other people? Do I want to be a person that always get hurt when someone didn't invite me to a party, or someone didn't give me a compliment, or even sometimes people say hurtful things because they come from jealousy, or they come from insecurity, or they come from their ego that is now spiteful and angry and mean. So that means that I have to be affected. If I'm affected by it, that's my choice. That's a choice that if the more conscious we become, I can ask a question. I can say, if I make conscious choices, if it's my free will, would I choose to be hurt? Would I choose to judge? Would I choose to hurt someone back? Would I choose that? Now, if the answer is yes, I want to do it, you know what? Do it and see what happens. See if that adds value to your life or to the other person's life. But once you practice this enough and you see that really it doesn't make you happier. Okay, now let's say you hurt the other person back. It doesn't make you any happier in your life. So then next time you'll pause and you'll ask, does this bring me closer to me being more fulfilled, or being more happy, or being more content, or having better relationships with my friends and other people? And if the answer is no, then consciously make other choices, make better choices.
How can we practice though not getting hurt by, if we're in an argument with our mom or our brother or our fiance, how can you practice not being hurt by what they're saying to you, or maybe past actions that they've done to you?
I think it's not personal.
That's a great idea. That's a great tip, actually.
Well, because you were saying earlier, like
it's a great tip.
No, because you were saying earlier, like if someone's coming from jealousy or anger, and the crazy thing is like we're choosing to then feel hurt, right? We don't have to, but like that's coming from their anger. Mm-hmm. They're feeling angry and jealous. I don't know.
It's true.
You tell us, Ariel.
I totally agree with you. One of the first...
I think that's harder. I think it's easier said than done to like not take it personally. But I think that it's once you say like that's really not my issue, like you're feeling that way.
One of the practices is actually to do just that, is to be able to listen, because I want to improve. I want to become a better human being. My desire is to become more loving. My desire is to strengthen my relationship with my family, with my friends, with my wife, with my boyfriend, girlfriend, my kids. My intention is always to strengthen, to improve, to make better. So the way I'm perceiving what's happening right now is my reaction to the situation. We spoke about getting hurt. Now I got hurt, okay? The other person said something, and now I'll think, okay, is what they said true? I will go in and I will pause. Again, that pause is there truth to what they said? And then if there is truth to what they said, I will look in and say, okay, how can I become better? It's humble. It's being humble. The ego is exactly the opposite of being humble and say, you know what? There is a point to what you just said. The ego is all about defensiveness. No, I'm right, you're wrong, right?
I do that a lot.
My teacher, Karen Berg, always used to ask us, in an argument, how is it possible that you're always right? Right? It's like, we're all always right,
yeah.
right? So it's that muscle. It's a muscle. It's practice. Pause. Is there a message here for me? Is there something that I need to learn here about myself? And go through that moment of pause and reflection and just think, is it true? Or maybe it is coming from the other person. Maybe the other person is mirroring right now and really they see themselves in me and what they think.
Whoops.
And what they think is really something that they need to look and observe within them. And then, once I go through the introspection and the reflection and asking myself, is it true? Is it not true? Is it real? Is it not real? There is a message for me. There is no message for me. Now I'm more at ease to just confront that conflict with the other person in a more loving way, in a more proactive way. It doesn't have to be explosive. It doesn't have to be avoidance. It doesn't have to be now judging the other person's stupid and they don't see me, because we're all in a process of learning, I think. I think parents learn their kids throughout their whole life, and children learn their parent. It's like we're here on such a learning experience, and it's a journey. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we all get so upset or so reactive or so negative with ourselves or with life many times is because we look at the present moment. We just look at this moment. And right now, something terrible has happened. And we don't know where it's leading us. We forget that there is a much bigger picture. We forget that there is a process. In relationship, you can be in a very loving relationship, but go through periods of time that the relationship is not so great. And you experience challenges in that relationship. And in the moment right now, you might jump into conclusions that maybe this relationship is not good for you, or maybe you need to quit that relationship, or maybe there is something better out there for you because you're just focusing on the moment. But if you learn how to grow from that relationship together with love, with patience, with human dignity, with respect to each other, with a lot of pause and breathing, and not be so reactionary. Oh, he said this, she said this, they did this, they did. And you just learn to pause. Then so many of the relationships that we have, if it's intimate relationship or with family or with friends, so many relationships can become so much better over time if we just zoom out a little bit. You know, when you look at the picture, imagine that you stick your nose into the picture. Okay? So how much of that picture you're actually going to see? But if you take 3 steps back, wow, much bigger picture. Now take 5 steps back, much bigger picture. Now take 10 steps back, wow, even bigger picture. Breathe. What you're experiencing right now is just a fraction of where it's leading you, of what it's teaching you, of what the lesson is there for you. So one of the most important tools is always pause and ask, what's the lesson here for me? What's the lesson here for me? Why is it happening to me? Because there is always something that I can learn from that will make me better. And that's what I want to focus on. How that hurt, the question started from someone hurt me. How can I pause and ask, how can I become better from that hurt? It's not easy to do. Maybe I can learn from that. Maybe I'm in a relationship that someone is very insensitive. So that will teach me, say, I would never want to be like that. Maybe that's the lesson. And I will say, okay, so I want to be a more kind and patient and sensitive human being. So I'll start paying more attention to how I use my words. Now, is it possible that sometimes I'm insensitive? And can I elevate? I'm always thinking, how can I become better? How can I elevate? All the time. It's not, oh, I'm already kind, or I'm already loving, or I'm already happy. It's always, how can I become? I'm not at my ultimate level of any of those things. So I'm constantly thinking, how can I become more loving? How can I become more in self-control? Self-control is a big thing, no? How can I become more self-control over my own emotions? How can I grow to my next level in not letting what people think about me affect me?
It's
all the time.
Yeah. So, well, it's like you're putting your fate in other people's hands.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting because whenever you're talking to a friend or a family member and they're asking you for advice, you are literally never taking the advice you give someone. Because I've given my friends and family members advice, oh, don't take it personal. That person is angry with their own life. It's not about you, it's all about them. But then when it's happening to me, I'm like, I hate this person. They're so mean to me. I never want to speak to you again. I'm crying, blah, blah, blah. But when it's not directly at you and you're allowed to see it from a third-party perspective, the answer is so clear. But when it's directly at you, it's like quite the opposite. I wanted to ask...
Easier said than done, right? It's always
I wanted to talk about, because it kind of goes back to what we were just saying, how you always say, what an opportunity. And Gio always reminds me, what an opportunity. So I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit. Like when you are put in these positions and you take the pause and you say, like, what an opportunity. This is testing me to be kinder today.
It's a great question. What do you want more in your life?
I think peace.
Okay, peace. So in order to grow to your next level of peace, what is inner peace?
Yeah, just like calm, peace, and like overall satisfaction with everything in life.
Okay. You will get an opportunities in the next day to week that will challenge your inner calm.
The opposite of what you want.
Whatever you ask, you're gonna get the opportunity to have more of, to develop that. Again, we're in a learning process. It's a journey. So it's not that I reach a level, I'm zen, I'm calm, I'm good, and then something will happen because that's life. You know, someone will say something, you will have a challenge, you will be stuck, you will get into your own head and fears and ego. It's going to happen. We're all going to go through stuff in life. That's life. So, and that's going to challenge my calmness. That's going to challenge my how much I believe and know that what's happening to me right now is the best thing for me.
Yeah, I think I want to keep talking about this because what would you say to somebody, because I know I have friends or family members that say this all the time. And they say, oh, you know, whenever something good happens to me, something bad has to happen. Or I really have to struggle to get to that next step. And everything is always a struggle. And I'm always like tired. I'm always fighting. And not everybody else around me has the same struggle. You know, I'm not going to psychoanalyze the person that's telling me this because obviously they're coming from a place of distress and hurt. But number one, I think everyone has to struggle to get to wherever they seek, because I see, like, with myself and with you and everyone around me, like, that life isn't perfect. You're not going to wake up every single day and be happy and perfect. Like, this is what this whole episode is about, right? So what would you say to somebody who's kind of, I would call it a victim mindset, honestly.
Right. To look at everything as opportunity to grow, that's a muscle. And just like you go to the gym, you grow your physical strength, right? In exactly the same way, we have inner strength, inner qualities. One of those qualities is to be able to see the good in everything. It's a muscle. Another muscle is to appreciate challenge. Another muscle is to get excited about opportunities for growth, which are challenges.
Yeah.
It's a muscle, right? So it's really shifting the perspective, the perception about life. When you go to the gym, you get excited about the challenge because it makes you better. But when we go in life and then unexpected things happen, then we don't perceive them like the treadmill. It's not perceived like, oh, that person now cutting me on the road, or that mean person, or my boss doesn't understand me, or I'm not getting the validation and the appreciation that I'm looking for. We don't look at it in the same way. That's now the treadmill of life. So it's changing the perspective and become excited about growth. It's growth mindset.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's very hard to get excited about a challenge.
It is.
In practice, but...
it's very hard.
Yeah, but then you're getting excited for change and for the better.
What's the alternative? Being a victim all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people choose that alternative.
Victim and
it's
blame.
Easier.
Victim and blame.
I think it's easier to fall to blame and victimhood, and I do it too, but it's just so much easier to victimize yourself than to be like, let me grow.
Keep saying that it's easier. I'm not sure.
It's kind of exhausting.
I think it's the same energy.
Yeah.
To smile or to be frowny is the same energy, is a choice. And we need to start kind of like reprogramming ourselves to what's really good for me. Mm-hmm. What's really, really good for me.
That's really empowering.
So yesterday I was in my house and this is why it's so silly, because I don't even remember what I was stressed about. Like maybe like my phone was ringing and then I was doing something and I was cooking dinner. I burned my finger on the pan and then I went to like run to the sink and then I threw my water bottle on the ground and I literally started laughing because I was like, it's so easy to be like, oh my God, everything's going wrong. But I was like, I'm being chaotic and I'm really attracting a lot of chaos right now. Like it's all just a domino effect. So I literally just like left the water on the ground. I put my fingers under the sink and I was laughing and I was like, it's all good. Like nothing bad is happening. It's all good. And I'm even thinking about your mom the other day. She was like not feeling good and she's like my number one inspiration, but of course everyone can have like a bad day. And she was like, how do I go to the gym if I'm not feeling good and I'm sad and I want to like tell someone that I'm sad? And I'm like, well, you can talk to us right now that you're sad.
Yeah.
But go to the gym and like honestly don't dump your problems onto a random person at the gym. You know, like everyone's there to like work out and like get better. And maybe you just say hi to whoever you usually see at the gym and like you'll have a good conversation with them and your whole day might turn around. Instead of going into the gym with like negative, low energy and wanting to talk about this negative energy with someone, like try to do the opposite. And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Spiritually, when you wake up depressed and you choose to change that, that's going to become the most miraculous day of your life. And usually, anytime we go outside of ourselves, meaning I'm smiling when I'm not feeling like smiling, that will probably be the most important smile that you ever gave
and
someone.
It makes you feel better.
Something good will happen because of that. Every time that we pause and help someone when we're not feeling so good, that snaps us out of it, but it also changes our destiny. It elevates us. It awakens our soul. So especially when we don't want to do the things that are good for us, if it would be eating healthy or stop scrolling or going for a walk or meditating, especially when we don't want to do those things and we do them anyway because we know how good they are for us, this is when it brings the most positivity into our life. Even more than the times that we're inspired and excited and do those things, when we're not inspired, when we're not excited and we still do the right thing or avoid doing the wrong thing, this is when the biggest shifts happen to us in our life and we constantly reshape our destiny to become a better destiny.
Let's say we're waking up kind of in that like low energy. Is there anything that we can like say to the creator, ask the creator to try and like switch the day around, kind of like as soon as you get out of bed and you're doing like your prayer?
Kat, what do you do when you wake up?
If I wake up like not feeling so good, not
feeling inspired, not feeling good,
after we had David Berg on, I go on my balcony and he said, instead of telling the creator what you want, you ask the creator, like, creator, what do I need today? So I do that. I also like to go for a walk because I like to be outside. I'm really close to the water, so I love just like looking at the water and admiring it and remembering that this world is so much bigger than me is what I like to do.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
What do you do? Gio, what do you do?
Oh, no.
You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. What happened? What do you do? How do you change that?
I think I'm a little bit more reactive than that. If I wake up on the wrong side of the bed...
When you are successful, right? We're not always successful, and I think it's very
when
important
I am
not to be
successful,
overly critical about
I think that when I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and then I end up switching it is when I end up sharing or surrounding myself with positive people. I don't know if I should do that, but I'm saying like, then I come here and like, I'll give an example. I'll see Kat and we'll start exchanging more positive ideas, or we'll come and we'll do the podcast and we're actually doing something more positive, and I'm like, oh, my day is just so much better now. Like I forgot how I woke up. So I think when I'm like taking action, I just do positive things or sharing things, and then it like flips for me. Yeah. Although I think a walk would be nice too, and
walk,
having
meditate,
more conversations with the universe.
Appreciation.
Yeah,
music. I love
music. Music is a really good way, and sometimes I don't listen to music as good, but it's a good way to get out of yourself.
Usually, I'm awake before my boyfriend, but if there's ever a time where he's awake before me, like when I lived alone, I would immediately wake up and turn on music. I think it's like the best way to start your day. Just like brushing teeth, like dancing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's my favorite way to start the day. I can't always do it if he's asleep and I wake up, but yeah.
You can put
my AirPod in,
I think there is two approaches to that. I think one is you can choose the fight approach.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to change that, and then it is going to become a great day. I'm just going to fight. I'm going to change that. I'm going to awaken appreciation. I'm going to force myself to dance, to sing, to go for a walk, to call someone, to share it, to be creative, to just start the day, and I'm going to change it. That's one approach. Another approach, which I think is spoken about less often, is allow yourself to be in that place, and give yourself also some time. Proactively choose, say, you know what? I am a victim right now. I am miserable right now. Everything is terrible right now. I'm going to give it like an hour. I'm going to eat some ice cream first thing in the morning, or drink my huge cup of coffee and scroll. And I give myself half an hour. I give myself an hour. And I'll be okay with that. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to say to myself, you know what? I need that. I actually want to be in that space right now, and it's okay. Because we're not machines. We're not perfect. We're not always going to be able to flip that. But sometimes we'll have the strength to just allow. Yeah. Just allow ourselves. It's okay that I'm at that place right now. I'm not going to allow myself to stay in that place for the whole day. But I'm going to tell myself, you know what? It's like the washing machine or like the laundry machine. It's like, I'm just going to let it go through a cycle, and then I'm going to start my day. So like it's a more also like a softer approach. And I don't think there is a right or wrong approach. I think sometimes you'll choose this and sometimes you'll choose that, as long as it's proactive. As long as there is some kind of choice, and you're not just operating from some kind of a robotic, automatic. Like the fact that you woke up miserable doesn't mean that it has to stay like that for the rest of the day. Or even if it happened in the middle of the day. Something happened in the middle of the day and completely threw you off your game, and now you're in a completely negative mindset. It doesn't mean that it has to continue like this for the rest of the day. Because, okay, I'm going to be in that place for 5 minutes now. I'm just going to call someone. I'm going to vent. I'm going to let it all out. And then I'm going to go back to... It's a choice. It's also a choice that we can make. Just more proactive. I'm not going to kill anybody in the... I'm not going to call my boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband. I'm going to tell them mean things that are going to hurt the relationship. I'm going to call a friend and just vent for a few minutes, blame everybody else, be a victim, judge, speak bad about other people, take it all out, just take it all out. And I say, okay, now I can go back to being the real me, the real self, the loving me that you really are, and reconnect with your true self that is all love, that is all positive. Sometimes we need that,
to let it out.
Let it out. So, and also not to be harsh on it. We all have that part. It's okay. Let it out in a proactive way. Even that. Let it out in a conscious way. It's like I let my kids, for example, scream or hit the pillow. Instead of hitting each other, Take a pillow. You want to scream right now? You feel like screaming? Sometimes we feel like screaming. Okay, let's go out to the balcony. Let's go together to the balcony and just scream. But it's because now we have like all these emotions that are bottled in, or anger or frustration about something. Okay, let it out. But in a proactive way. Don't let it out on your friend that now you're gonna dump all your garbage now on that person, which create a ripple effect of negativity. I'm negative, so let me give some of that to you, and then you'll give some. Instead, let me let out of that negativity in a controlled way, because we all have it, and it's okay. So it's another muscle, is just to learn. How do I need to let out that negative energy in a proactive way? Maybe a confidant, maybe a pillow, maybe getting a little drink, a little one. Yeah, maybe going for a walk. Again, it's not right or wrong. We need to figure out who we are and what helps us in the next level of our proactivity. Because if my to relax is 7 glasses of wine, so maybe choosing proactively next time I'm in that negative space, I'm going to proactively drink 1 and then go back to my creativity and make that a decision ahead of time and reprogram myself ahead of time. Next time when this and this and that happens, because it will happen again, instead of waiting until I explode or I can't take it anymore and then going to the 7 glasses of wine, I'll just take 1 in a controlled way, in a decision way, in a proactive way. Your life already tremendously better.
I have so many questions. So
I do too.
First one, why do we do things that are bad for us?
Okay, that was literally my
because you're talking about drinking now, and I was like, so why do people drink, and why do we overdrink if we know it's not good? Why do people do drugs? Why do we reach over for a substance or for a pill that we know doesn't have the answer, but we do it anyways?
Like, so many times people wake up hungover and then they just do it again the next day, and they're like, oh, I never want to feel like this again, and then the next day comes and they do it again.
Yes, it's a cycle. Yeah, we were created to be fulfilled, and it's a choice to either be fulfilled right now, immediate gratification, or I'm going to pause and learn what truly brings me long-lasting fulfillment. So it's a choice.
Yeah.
What do you think? What brings us long-lasting fulfillment?
Love, or I don't know, sharing. But yeah, I guess people drink and they get fulfilled in that moment, and then as soon as you wake up the next day, you're like, I feel terrible again. Yeah. I feel empty again.
Mm-hmm. Like worse probably than you felt before.
Worse.
And then you keep reaching for that instant gratification, and it never fulfills you.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. Usually just...
So people just keep doing it because it's just...
feels good in the moment.
It feels good, or like I wake up worse the next day, then why am I choosing to do that again?
If we go to the wisdom and the thought of creation, we coming from the source, and the source is always full. And we were once, our soul was once connected to that source. It's getting a little bit deep, but because our soul comes from always being fulfilled with everything, we constantly crave that fulfillment. And whenever we feel emptiness or lack in our life, whatever kind of lack, it can be because I saw someone more successful than me and it triggered my jealousy and insecurity about myself. It can be that I don't love myself enough, and that the lack. It can be that I look at the bank account and the money is just not there, and it makes me feel terrible because there are certain things that I want to do and I can't do them. There is many different, maybe I'm already 35 years old and I'm not married yet, and I want to have a family and kids, and that's what creates the lack. So there is a certain emptiness that is being awakened, and one of the greatest things that we can do to ourselves is to develop that ability to say, I'm exactly where I need to be. This is where I need to be. From here, how do I make choices that make my life better? From this moment right now. Will choosing, again, to going to the drinking or staying up very late, scroll mindlessly, or avoiding what I need to avoid, will that choice bring me closer to what I want or further away from what I want? So the more awake we become, the more conscious we become, the more soulful we become, we think, how is it going to make my life better? The next choice. How is it going to make my life better? How is it going to make the other person's life better?
Yeah.
It's not just me, it's also you, right?
So why do we always want what we can't have? Because I was on the phone with my dad yesterday, and we're talking, and we're just laughing, and he's like, I would give anything to be 25 again, my age. And I'm like, really, Papi? Because I think me and all my friends would want to be 77, retired, traveling. He lives a beautiful life. He's very healthy. He plays tennis. I'm like, I want to do what you do all day. He goes, no. He goes, I don't care if I have one pair of jeans. I would love, there's nothing better than your youth. And I'm sitting there like, really? Because I have to buy a house. I have to have kids. I have to get married. Then I have to provide for those kids. And it's like all these things, they don't sound fun in the moment. And he's like, you'll understand when you're my age. But he's like, you know what I have to think about? Oh, if I hurt my knee, I can't do anything. And your ailments and you're getting older. So I just think it's funny because we're both sitting there like, I want to be you, but why we are never satisfied?
Deep question, okay? Very deep. What is it that exactly he wants?
This isn't going to sound good, but in that moment when we were talking, all I want was to be able to buy a house, to have kids and send them to the school I want to send them to be able to go on vacation with my family, for all of us to be healthy forever. That's what I want. I want health, and I want to be able to make whatever choice I want and be able to provide for my family. That's what what keeps me up. So providing for my non-existing kids.
I think what comes to my mind is the word process. Is think of a fruit, and it's in the middle of the process. You can't skip the process. You can't a flower can't blossom because now you want that flower to blossom, but that if it's a fruit, there is a process for it to become ripe, to become sweet. If it's a flower, there is a process for that flower to blossom, and we are aware of that process, so we allow the process to happen. And we're less judgmental of a flower or of a fruit because we know the process. With life, we many times want to skip the process. I just want to get to the outcome, to the result. And many times thinking that what I have right now, what I'm experiencing right now is not good enough, which goes back to appreciation all the time. In your case, appreciating the fact that you're 25, you have all your life ahead of you,
50 years,
and be excited.
Hopefully.
And be excited about revealing whatever the process is gonna bring to you. If it's for someone older that is in their 60s or 70s and they're battling or desiring to be more healthy because they're not as healthy as they used to be, for them it will be appreciation that the many other blessings that they currently have in their life. So I think just focusing on the present moment, being present in the now, because for your dad, and I'm sure this is not what he thinks, but he doesn't have control to go 35 years back, and you don't have the control to skip 10 years forward and already be in your dream house with your dream family, dream garden, whatever that is, right?
Dream kitchen.
Dream kitchen. We don't have that option. So what do we have? We have the now.
But I think what gets so complicated is, yes, I think being present is the most important thing in the world and being mindful. But every day when you wake up, what you're doing today is for a better tomorrow. So it's like I'm waking up, I'm going to work, I'm doing the podcast so that I can build my future. So it's so hard sometimes to be in the present when you know that everything you're doing really is for your future self.
But the only control is the present moment. Yeah. It's like a seed. We look at it as like you plant seeds. Okay? There is this special, I don't remember the kind, but a certain kind of bamboo that you planted, and then for 5 years you just water it, you don't see anything, you don't see any results, and then in 30 days it just go to 6, 7, 8 feet tall in 30 days. For 5 years you see nothing, but you planted the seed and you watered it, and you know the process of the bamboo, so you know something good is going to come out at the end. So if you start planting positive seeds of pausing, everything we spoke until now, pausing, believing in yourself, making better choices in your life, in the now, which is what I can control, then I know for a fact that it will manifest if I continue just planting more seeds of making good choices, being positive, being kind to myself and others, and constantly asking, how can I become a better human being? Working on myself, stop being a victim, stop blaming others, taking more responsibility over my choices in my life. I create a better future. I create a better future now. I don't know how it's going to manifest, but I know that I created now. I don't know when, I don't know how, but honestly, I also don't think about it so much because I'm trying to be as focused as I can about what I can control, which is right now. I can't control tomorrow. I can't change yesterday.
Well, how do we explain really bad things happening to good people? When we say bad things happen to good people, when we go through hardships or losses or challenging times, how can we make sense of like such a terrible thing happening to us? Why would the creator, if everything comes from the creator, want to send such a harsh challenge? Because people go through things and they're like, why this? Or why this intensity?
I'll ask Kat. Ever happened to you that you experienced something that looked terrible when it happened, and then sometime after, 3 months, 6 months, a year after, you're like, thank God that happened. That was the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Can you think of something like that?
Yeah.
You want to share?
Sure. I'm thinking of, hope my boyfriend's not listening. I'm kidding. 2 years ago, this is our 4th year in our relationship. So halfway through our relationship, he ended up moving. We were living in Boston and he ended up moving here for work. And it was like very abrupt and he had to come here. But I was still working in Boston and I didn't really want to leave Boston. So he was here and I was there. So we were long distance, and being long distance was really, really difficult. But him being here made him honestly grow into the person that I needed him to become. And our relationship went through a big struggle, but at the end of it, and I ended up moving here, our relationship grew stronger than I could have ever imagined. And since then, like, I know that this is the love of my life. This is my soulmate. This is the person that I want to be with, and I have so much clarity. And 2 years in, which is still a long time to be with someone, I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. This isn't working right now. And then it ended up being so clear after that hardship that this is the person for me.
So it gave you clarity and it made your relationship so much stronger.
Yes.
But while you were going through that, you just wanted to skip the process.
Yeah.
You just wanted to...
Because I'm like, I want to be done with this. This is it.
Okay.
Appreciating the process is...
But how do you explain loss? How do you explain if you lose a sibling, if you lose a parent? Because that sometimes, I think, probably takes longer than a year to be like, I'm glad that happened, you know?
No, it's never glad. I don't think anybody that ever lost someone that they love can be glad about it.
Right.
Happy about it. I do think that there will always be some kind of void. The question is, what do I do with that pain? Which is a big part of being spiritual, is that a lot of the people that went through a lot of hardship when they were little, when they were young children, or abuse or terrible childhood, many times become healers, many times become therapists, become people that now take care of other people, and they use their pain to help other people. So pain is something that is inevitable, right? Or unavoidable. Pain. We will experience pain in life. The question is, what is that pain going to bring out of me? Again, will I use that pain now to better other people and myself and the world? Or I'll just sit in my pain and in my misery and in my loss and poor me, which is a decision.
I like that answer. I've never heard somebody explain it like that.
It's a little bit of a shift. But when we have, actually there's 2 questions. So when we have a reoccurring
Oh, I like this question
pattern,
already.
a reoccurring person, a reoccurring boyfriend, reoccurring friends that come year after year, and it's like the same kind of person keeps showing up in my life. But it's
A
not
difficult person, perhaps.
like, why do we always have these same kinds or types of people coming up? And it's like, I feel like I'm back when I was 14.
Have you seen the movie Groundhog Day?
Yeah. Well, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but
You
We know
heard
the
about it?
premise.
yeah.
Go and see it.
Yeah,
All
every
of-
day is the same.
Everybody listening also, go. If you never saw, if you want to understand why you have recurrent patterns in your life, go see Groundhog Day. Until you learn the lesson. And the lesson has to be something that makes you a better human being. The lesson has to be somehow that your heart becomes more open. Even if you got hurt, even if that person is terrible, even if it's the worst thing that ever happened to you. If you didn't learn a lesson that makes you a better human being, even if that lesson is, I will never treat people like that in my life, and now you make it a conscious choice to pay attention to where maybe you fall to the same behavior or attitude, mindset towards other people. And now you start paying more attention to that, and you learn a lesson from it. Until you learn the lesson from it, it will keep coming back to your life.
So, what is the line of showing up as your best and highest self, but then this person, it can maybe the same person keeps coming back into your life, and then you forgive them, and then they treat you the way that they treated you before that like caused the conflict in the first place, but then you forgive them again, and then they do the same thing again, and it's a back and forth, and you're constantly forgiving this person, but then at the end of the day they show up as the person that you choose to react hurt to, because we said we choose to be hurt by this person. So how do you show up as your best and highest self and forgive this person, but then constantly allow them to take from you and drain you of your energy?
Sometimes it's about putting boundaries and knowing who we want to surround ourselves with.
But think
even putting boundaries can be with love.
Mm-hmm.
I respect you. I'm not angry at you. I'm not judging you. You're who you are. You're in your process, and I respect that. And I also respect myself. And because I have love towards myself, I want to make sure that I'm surrounded with people that also treat me in a certain way. And that's part of self-love, actually, is knowing who to surround yourself with. The more you respect yourself, the more you appreciate yourself, the more, let's say, calculative or cautious you become about who you give your energy to.
So how do you explain that? Because I would say the hardest people it is to make sure they're around you or not is family.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you put these boundaries with people that you do want part of your life? Or you'd wish that they were different so you could participate and be in each other's lives when it's like family?
The more connected you become to yourself, what might happen?
Or is that person not meant to be in your life? Even if it's family?
Sometimes. So it really depends on the situation, but I would say that the more connected to your soul you become less affected by other people's negativity. So other people don't have to change, especially if it's family, and we never want to try to change anybody else besides ourselves. The more connected we become with ourselves, either we will not be bothered as much anymore with other people attitude, behavior, and we will just be able to say, this is their movie, this is their life, I don't have to be affected by it. That's one thing that might happen with family. You'll become more connected, you'll become more loving, you'll become more patient, more forgiving, and also stronger in not taking other people's movie and letting it affect you and bring you down. So one thing that might happen, it will just stop bothering you so much. The other thing that might happen is maybe you will choose to spend less time with them. Even if it's family, maybe I'll be more conscious about, I know that I can hang out with them for 3 hours, and then after 3 hours I start to lose my mind, that it brings the worst out of me. So I'll just time myself. I'll say, okay, I'm going to hang out for 2 hours. This is my capacity right now. And yes, I want to work on my capacity to maybe be able to hang out more with them without trying to change them, and just accepting them as they are and allowing them to blossom at their own time and be non-judgmental about what they go through in their life, and maybe even show up more as a sharing force, meaning like, how can I just be there? If it's listening, if it's maybe just being there for the other person, if it's just helping in some physical way, giving some kind of support, and at the same time protecting my own energy and making sure that I'm giving to the capacity that I'm able to handle without it being overwhelming and bringing the worst out of me.
I think it's so difficult with family, especially because, like we said, you know, they're the hardest people to cut out of your life completely.
Right.
It's like the last resort if you really are trying to cut a family member out, because honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's almost harder to cut a family member out than to try and figure it out with them, because you have to see them at, you know, holidays and this and that. And they're your blood. They're the only people that are truly like your blood. So I have an issue where, like, I have a family member talking to me, complaining about another family member. And I'm like, listen, I don't really want, well, okay, it's my brother. I just have to say that because I have to say the other part. And he's like, listen, I'm like, listen, I'm trying to mend my relationship with the other family member that you're talking to me about in a negative way. And I don't like you putting more negative thoughts into my head. It's hard for me to just listen to you. I can't listen to you without taking it in more deeply, I guess. And then he's like, well, you're my sister and I don't want your advice and I just want you to listen to me. And then he's like calling me a bad sister. And then I feel bad because I'm like, oh my God, am I being a bad sister? Because I can't sit here and listen to you complain to me about somebody that I'm trying to actively work on my relationship with. Because I hear you, I know what you're saying. And then I say, why don't you look at it this way? And he goes, I don't want your advice. I just want to talk to you like you're my sister because you're the only person I have. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to find a therapist. And he's like, stop telling me I need to do this. And it's me. It's not me accepting him. And it's me trying to change him. But at the same time, it protects me and my energy when I say I can't be your trash bin for 10 minutes. It has to be somebody else. So I think it's such a fine line with family. And I don't know how to do the delicate dance sometimes.
Yeah, it's a great example, actually.
And I want to show up as my highest and best. And sometimes when I need to like put a boundary, I feel bad.
It does feel bad many times to cut someone or to put a boundary. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off, right? It hurts in the beginning, but sometimes it needs to be done for the long term, for the long term help, right? Because if we just think about the moment, right now it's painful, it's hard, they hate me, they judge me, they're not happy with me. But many times, if we let that pain sit we let ourselves sit within that pain, not trying to change the other person, just saying, this is where I'm at in my life right now, and accept that internally. This is where you're at in your life right now. We disagree. It's okay. We can still love each other, even though we disagree with each other. But let's say I allow my kids to speak bad about each other, call each other nicknames, and even come to me and say bad things about their siblings. That is beyond like the complaint. Okay, they complain. Okay, so, oh, your brother did this to you? Oh, emphasizing. Many times what I do is I'll show them that emotionally I'm invested in their pain, in their hurt. Oh, you're hurt right now. Oh, that's painful. That's hurtful. I'll just emphasize, but I'm not going to engage even more with that. And many times just this emphasizing with them, just showing them that I understand, I validate their emotions, many times that takes away a lot of the pain. So that's one thing that you can do, is just emphasize for a second more and say, yeah, that must be tough because this is where he's at right now. So you can change him, but the moment you just validate his emotions and he's seen in what he's experiencing, wow, someone sees me, someone understands me, and I just wanted her to be my sister. I didn't want her to teach me or to give me an advice or to tell me what I need to do in my life, that's so beautiful. That's amazing. Now you're strengthening the connection with him, and at the same time you're not what's the word I'm
engaging.
looking for? Engaging. You're not engaging with it. You're not putting more fuel on it at the same time. So if I let my kid eat whatever they want all day long, am I really sharing with them? No, I'm not sharing with them. But am I gonna cut my kids off my life because they don't listen to me? I think many times we cut off family maybe a little bit too fast than what we should. Because with family there is a deep connection, and there is also a lot of lessons that we need to learn from each other. And if we cut that cord, and I know from a lot of personal stories, people that unfortunately cut parents off, cut siblings off because of really, really meaningless reasons. Like if you really look deep and you see what the reason is, it's all ego. It's all ego, and the job of the ego is to create separation, and especially in the places where it's the most important, which is to strengthen family ties, family connections. And many times it's so possible to strengthen those relationships, but we don't. Yeah. Because just we don't know how to put ourselves aside for a second and be in that sharing space, even if it's for 5 minutes, and just put the other person first. And with family, it's the hardest because it brings out so much of what we're dealing with, the negative emotions from within. And this is where it becomes the hardest. And this is also why the greatest opportunity. Wherever it's the greatest challenge, there is also the greatest opportunity. Kat, what will you do differently based on that? Or what do you take from that answer about your situation?
Well, I kind of heard two different things, because I heard you say that we can put a boundary because long term it's better. But you also said that in the moment I could say, I see that you're hurt by what so-and-so is doing, and kind of just reiterate what they're saying. So it sounds like I can take two different directions.
Or both of them, both of them at the same time. Emphasizing, acknowledging, not engaging.
Is everybody a mirror of us? I mean, I don't know if everybody's a mirror of us, but I'm thinking more of like what triggers me in somebody else. I sometimes think about it and I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm like judging them on them being judgmental, and I'm feeling judged by them, but I'm judging them. So I guess my question is everybody a mirror of yourself? Is what something else is triggering me, is that what I need to work on?
The simple answer is many times yes. Many times it's very hard to see that. So I would say we can learn something about ourselves from any relationship. And we can learn something good about ourselves. That's the point. The point is, no matter what the other person mirrors for me. So if I judge them, and now I can say, I'm also judging. So that can make me a little bit more compassionate towards other people.
Sometimes it's so hard to be compassionate.
So now, even if it's just learning that lesson, I think we can learn something from anybody. My kid, for example, is so full of love, and he's 8 years old, right? And I learned so much from him about how to love, and it's so inspiring to just look at him. So I don't feel I have awakened the same level of love that he has naturally. So is he a mirror of me? Yes, that love exists within me, but I learned from him how to show that care and that love in greater ways. So it doesn't have to be just on mirror to the negative, right? Because most of the time we think mirror to the negative, but also like, wow, this person inspired me, and to think about people that inspire you in your life and people that you appreciate in your life and all the good that they have, and say, wow, they have so much good. I want to awaken that good also. For me, it's more inspiring. Yes, of course, there is, sometimes we see the negativity in other people, and then we can also see that negativity in ourselves, and that can awaken us to become better in those areas. I think we don't look at the good enough. There is so much good
Yeah.
in other people, so much good. And if we just open our default is to see the bad. But if we start seeing the good more in other people, we say, wow, people have so much good and we can learn so much from each other.
So if there's one thing you can tell people, a practical tool or technique or a few, what would be like a piece of advice that you would have to share with everybody?
To pause.
To pause.
To pause. To pause. To reflect. To ask questions like you're doing. You're very good at asking questions.
Thank you.
You're asking very good questions.
What questions could we be asking ourselves or the universe to strengthen our connection to ourselves or to our soul?
Exactly that question.
Okay. What can I be
just
doing?
asking the question with an open heart, knowing that once you ask that question, you will receive the answer. I'm not sure when, but the moment you ask the right questions without victim consciousness, not question, why me, God, why me? But the question has to be the right question to get the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
So to ask, what is the lesson from me? How can I become better? How do I want to show up better in my life? For me, that's the constant work, is how can I become better?
Mm-hmm.
And am I already who I want to be? And the answer is always no. So then I ask, okay, so what can I do today? What small step can I take today that will bring me closer? And then at the end of the day, if I look at that day and I can tell myself, I took one small action that brought me closer to who I want to be in this life, then this was an amazing day. No matter what else happened on that day, no matter how many times I failed, no matter how I disappointed myself and others, and all of that is gone if I can find even one small step that I've taken towards becoming a better self, a better me. This was an amazing day. And that's the only question that I ask myself at the end of the day. Did I do something today that brought me closer to who I want to be and who I want to become?
How has this wisdom transformed your life? Specifically you. I would like to know. I know it's obviously probably changed your life so much, but how did you get into it, and what was the defining moment that you were like, wow, this is my calling?
It's many questions, Gio.
Okay. What's
the defining moment?
How did you stumble upon Kabbalah and this wisdom? That's the first question. And then how did it change your world?
There is a short answer and a longer answer. The short answer, I started dating someone. And she brought me to the wisdom of Kabbalah.
Wow.
The longer answer is it was meant to be. It came to me from many different directions, and it's really beyond me.
And the defining moment that you were like, this is meant to be.
I started having it was a process. I don't think there was a specific moment, but it was a process that I just started having that clarity. I wanted to remove pain from my life. That's what I experienced: depression and a lot of negativity in my head, a lot of anger, and I was looking for ways to heal myself, to find some form of healing. And I knew that I had the voice in my head that it's about helping other people. That even before Kabbalah, I knew that it's about helping other people. If I find a way to help other people, then my life will become better. And I started studying homeopathic medicine and to take the path of helping other people to heal their life. And throughout my school, my studies, I started studying Kabbalah. And maybe after 6 months in or something like that, I started having that voice in my head that kept telling me, all the cures and methods are amazing, but if a person is not developing themselves internally and awakening their consciousness and making better choices in their life, in all areas of our life, words we use, people we hang out with, food that we eat, how we spend our time, all that, and we always have an opposition to make the right choices. So if we don't strengthen that muscle and start making better choices, and if I'm not doing that, and if other people are not doing that, then they can go to all the doctors, they can go to all the healers, they can go to all the external help, and it will help to some extent. But the ultimate help, for me, that was the voice. The ultimate help is when a person work on himself internally, and that was one of I started doing it myself, and I guess part of my calling was to also become a Kabbalah teacher and share this wisdom for so many years, and God willing, I hope for many more years.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's a beautiful community. So before we finish, we have one last question. It's not really it's a question. So we aim to give people the Pinkprint to personal growth and success, and we try to be very practical here. So we ask every guest to share one homework assignment for the week. Again, an actionable tip or tool that they can implement in their lives to better their lives or grow. I know I asked you a similar question earlier, so it could be the same.
Every day before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what small action or change did I take today to become more connected to who I want to become? And every morning when you wake up, you ask yourself, you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, how do I want to show up to my life today?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be today? How do I want to show up? Beautiful. Questions awaken the soul.
That's what we're going to do.
Love that. Questions awaken the soul. I like that phrase.
Yeah.
Is it a good question? A good question?
Yeah, it's a great homework assignment. Yes.
Perfect.
So now we're at an end. Ariel, where can people, there's a Spiritual Hungary Center in Miami Design District. People can go online. What's the website? Where can they find you? Where can they find the schedule?
Kabbalah.com.
Okay.
Where all the Kabbalah Center locations, they can find all the locations worldwide, or study online.
Yeah.
And of course, visit us at the Design District in Miami. If you're in Miami, you have to come.
If you're here, let us know we're there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We have classes and events and thriving community and beautiful people and a lot of fun.
It's a beautiful community, I will say that, and it's nice to have everyone there for such a positive thing, which is to share and get better.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that you invited me and
of course,
to share.
We had to share
Thank
all
you
this
so much.
wisdom. Thank you
beautiful.
so much, Ariel. Thank you guys for listening to another episode, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.